Wubba lubba dub dub motherfuckers. What is going on, everyone? It is I. It is everyone's favorite jack of all trades with the foul mouth, Commodore Urban. And welcome back to another awesome fucking video, guys. I greatly do appreciate it. And before I do dive into this bitch, I want a big special shout out to all of you guys, my viewers and my subscribers, new and old, for sticking around watching all this shit I do. Is the reason why I fucking do is for you guys. So yeah. Anyway, today you can see here we got this picture here depicting the Arizona on fire after she was bombed at Pearl Harbor, with the personification of Arizona from Azure Lane, you know, with black tears. You know, the black tears Arizona says December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy, and that was quoted by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. You're probably wondering, why are we talking about Pearl Harbor and the Arizona? Well, because it's December, well, it'll be December the 7th of 2024. The 83rd anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And Trump 2024, baby. Yeah, he won. Fuck yeah. Anyway, like I said, it is the 83rd anniversary of the sinking of Arizona and the attack of Pearl Harbor. And as you can see, I have here behind me my the 200 scale model kit of the USS Arizona. Behind me, that's by Trumpeter, and yeah, of course I have my 426 scale model kit by Revell. That's a weird fucking scale, but it's what it is. So, and in honor of the men who died and sacrificed their lives that day, 83 years ago, I am going to review a very amazing book about the subject, which dives deeper into why Pearl Harbor happened to begin with than any other book that I have read. And there's a massive amount of books about Pearl Harbor. But this one, I think, is one of the books on Pearl Harbor. And it is titled Pearl, December 7th, 1941, by Daniel Allen Butler. Now you might recognize that name. He is also the gentleman responsible for the book Unsinkable, the story of the Titanic, and he also wrote the books The Other Side of the Night, Warrior Queens, and The Age of Cunard. But this is his researched look into Pearl Harbor and why the hell Pearl Harbor fucking happened to begin with. And it says right here, Pearl, December 7th, 1941, is the story of how the United States and Japan, two nations with seemingly little over which to quarrel, let peace slip away so that on that day which will live in infamy, more than 350 dive bombers, high-level bombers, torpedo planes, and fighters of the Imperial Japanese Navy did their best to cripple the United States Navy's Pacific Fleet, killing 2,403 American servicemen and civilians, and wounding another 1,178. And over half of the people that died that day sadly died on Arizona when she blew up. It's a story of emperors and presidents, diplomats and politicians, admirals and generals, and it's also the tale of ordinary sailors, soldiers and airmen, all of whom were overtaken by a rush of events that ultimately overwhelmed them. Pearl shows the real reason why America's political and military leaders underestimated Japan's threat against America's security, and why the Japanese counterparts ultimately felt compelled to launch the Pearl Harbor attack. The Japanese thought there was no other way of getting to peace other than to, you know, stop America dead in their tracks. But that didn't fucking happen, did it? Pearl offers more than superficial answers. Oh, definitely, it definitely fucking does. Showing how both sides blundered their way through arrogance, overconfidence, racism, bigotry, and old-fashioned human error, to arrive at the moment when the Japanese were convinced that there was no alternative to war. Yeah? Once the battle is joined, Pearl then takes the reader into the heart of the attack, where the fighting men of both nations showed that neither side had a monopoly on heroism, courage, cowardice, or luck as they fought to protect their nations. And God, I couldn't believe it. It's crazy. And I'm going to read this. This is actually from Park Stevenson. He's a historical advisor to the Nova documentary Killer Subs at Pearl Harbor, which was a great documentary. It says, much like his previous works, Dan Butler's account of the Pearl Harbor attack is simultaneously sweeping and intimate. Written for the layman, but with enough detail to satisfy even the most facetious historian. Pearl is an eminently readable and engrossing account of the actions that pulled America into the Second World War. A valuable addition to any bookshelf with many last words documented from veterans of the attack who are sadly no longer here to share their own stories. And yes, it is. And as I opened up the book, it's literally says here, Pearl Harbor is one of those incidents in history that almost everyone knows of, but hardly anyone seems to know about. And it says, when someone says Pearl Harbor is when the Japanese attacked the United States brought America to the Second World War, they're essentially correct. But what do those words actually mean? What took place? And right here it says, for the past quarter century, the story of Pearl Harbor has been steadily carved apart, dissected, and presented in even smaller pieces. But Pearl, this book, steps away from a narrow technical or academic focus to instead present to someone who may be unfamiliar with the larger story as much as that story can be included. It may be that, still in these pages will be found accounts of actions of many people, for each story told in 1,000 of which there is no room. Basically, Daniel Allen Butler wrote a very gripping account that actually explains what the hell happened and why the hell it happened. From the moment when our own basically what you call information gathering services basically got some information regarding about a potential attack by the Japanese, which was never passed down to the lower officials. Right here it says, Admiral Husband Kimmel was the commander-in-chief of the Pacific Fleet that day. His superiors withheld the critical intelligence he needed to protect the fleet of Pearl Harbor, which that was one of the main things that happened. And the fact that America was so we were very blindly focused on trying to stop the Germans, that we were really blind about the threat of the Japanese across the Pacific. And the Japanese idea was that the attack of Pearl Harbor was the only chance they had to buy time to negotiate peace between them and us, which frankly was a really bad fucking idea. I mean, absolutely bad fucking idea. But some of the things in this book that make Pearl very fucking unique versus other books on Pearl Harbor would include, like right here, then at 8:08, Arizona's luck ran out. And it talks about the bomb that was dropped on her, which was a 1,770 pound bomb, which was called a Type 99, with a modified 14-inch battleship shell. And it talks right here, the second Type 99 bomb to hit Arizona, falling from 10,000 feet, took 23 seconds to reach its target. It struck her foredeck on the starboard beam side, a beam of turret number 2, which means that sumbitch hit right there. Right there is where it hit. Penetrating the thin steel of the upper deck, then punching through the main deck and second deck, finally exploding when it struck the armor of the third deck. The blast ignited black powder launching charges used for the Arizona's 2 aircraft catapults. The fire flared up and spread, reached an open hatch or vent in one of the magazines filled with the propellant charges for the ship's 14-inch shells, or the main guns, and flashed through it. 7 seconds after the bomb hit, 1 million pounds or 500 tons of propellant powder just exploded. Fuck. And seamen en route here in Nevada saw Arizona jump at least 15 or 20 feet upward in the water and sort of break in two. As she did, a huge gout of fire, orange, yellow, white, burst out from beneath turrets number 1 and 2, growing until it enveloped the forward half of the ship, rising 600 feet in the air, throwing glowing white fireballs, still burning bags of propellant, while a thick, oily jet of black smoke shot up from her funnel. This would later give the rise of the myth that Arizona had taken a bomb straight down her stack. See, there's a lot of books. There's a lot of books about Pearl Harbor that get that wrong. Oh, Arizona got bombed. A bomb went down her stack and blew her up. No, bullshit. That didn't fucking happen. Daniel Butler got it right. See, he knew what was right. And throughout this whole book, I mean, just to kind of give the skinny of it, guys, he puts you right here at the spot. Like, he takes you through all the different phases of what happened in the meeting rooms with, you know, the president, and the meeting room with the emperor, and then you're on the deck of the Akagi and the other Japanese carriers when they are taking off for launch, you know, to launch the attack. And he paints such a vivid picture. You're standing on the battleships as these guys are coming in, dropping bombs and shrapnel and everything else, and raining hell down on that quiet Sunday morning. And it's fucking amazing. It is a fucking amazing book. And after I finally got done, because the last part of the epilogue is a ship that weeps for her dead. And it's talking about how a gentleman was laid to rest. His ashes were laid to rest on the wreck of the Arizona. And it says here, the last words here is 40 feet below the now tranquil surface of Pearl Harbor. Lauren Broner rests in peace aboard the ship that weeps for her dead. It makes you think. It really makes you think. If shit had been different, had things been different between us and Japan, Pearl Harbor never would have happened. But it is what the fuck it is. I mean, and honestly, there's not that many great books on Pearl Harbor, because a lot of them spit out the same old shit. And there's only very few I can name of. Air Raid Pearl Harbor, this is a great one. A Day of Infamy by Walter Lord, which is ironic because he also wrote the book A Night to Remember, which is a fucking classic. And I would also add Pearl to that list of amazing books about Pearl Harbor. And of course, ironic is Daniel Butler also wrote an amazing book on the Titanic. So overall, Pearl, December 7, 1941 by Daniel Butler. Fucking classic. Absolutely, it's a must. 2 thumbs up. 5 fucking stars. It's worth reading. It's worth buying it. You should get a copy and read it. It's amazing. He puts you there on the spot. And very few authors can do that. But he does it every time. Great shit. Absolutely fantastic work, and I love it. So, that is my review of the book Pearl, December 7, 1941, by the legendary Daniel Butler. And if you have any questions or comments about anything, leave in the comment section below. I'll get back with you. If you're new to the channel, like what I do, hit the fucking subscribe button and join it. Until next time around, this is Commodore Urban, saying that smooth seas and clear skies. Happy sailing with all of you. God bless you all. Take care. Stay safe. Let, God and Jesus love y'all very much. And until next time, catch a warm trade wind. While anyone knows, let's go Brandon. Fuck Joe Biden. And Trump's going to be our president soon. So, yay. And remember Pearl Harbor, guys. So